Alright, welcome to Code A. This is day 1-1 of the round of 48, Season 4, GSL. I'm Wolf, with me is Caldor, and we're going to have some 3-player intros. Why don't you head us into those, Caldor?
We have a Zerg versus Zerg today in our first best of 3, and starting at the bottom left of the map, we have currently the player starting for TSL is of course HyuN, who was just able to win another IPL Fight Club. It's the 6th Fight Club in a row that he was actually able to win, and he was able to take down Alive in a best of 9 with a 5-0. He didn't drop a single map. Starting to the top right is a player that was able to win one of the Code A qualifiers. We have actually Sleep.
Yeah, currently teamless, and still goes by the ID with a barcode, in fact, these days. So don't be confused if you looked him up on the bracket earlier and you saw a barcode for some reason. It is in fact Sleep, originally from IM, moved to Slayers, and then went to Check 6, and has been teamless ever since. So.
Yeah. Right now, Sleep actually, in the Code A qualifier that I just mentioned, only dropped one single map. He dropped the map to shuttle a Protoss player, but was able to also win the final with a 2-0. He played the final against Crazy Hydra, another Zerg player. Today he finds himself in another ZVZ in the first round of Code A, and he's up against HyuN, a very strong TSL Zerg, who of course has a lot of training partners in Simple, in Ragnarok for example. We also have players like Shine, and HyuN just in the recent past has actually played a lot of Zerg versus Zergs.
Yeah, and you know, he comes from a team of Zergs for the most part. His team is highly Zerg dominated, so for that reason he's got a lot of ZVZ experience, a lot of ZVZ practice partners he can work with. So it's a good time to be HyuN right now playing the ZVZ, and a lot of his teammates actually doing really well in the individual league right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to do in the upcoming team league season as well.
We have a little bit of a difference here in builds, with the HyuN going actually for a hatch before pool. On the other hand, Sleep is now taking his gas after he started with a pool first, a normal timing though, and then went straight into his hatch as well. The first map being Daybreak of course, and now both players just heading into this macro game. We don't see any kind of tentacle shenanigans that we've seen in so many ZVZs in the past. Might see that later on now on map number 2 or maybe map number 3 if it comes to that.
Yeah, it's always great to change up your build in this matchup. On this map in particular, there's a secondary ramp, but it's very far away, and there's 2 entrances to the natural, so most players will get that safe aiming nest, not try to cut any corners, get that fast roach horn or anything like that. I expect that we're going to see fairly defensive play from both of these players. As a result, maybe both players making one spine caller at the natural as well. And the question, of course, will become who techs first and what will be the tech of choice.
Yeah, indeed. And the thing about HyuN, of course, also is we talked a little bit about Sleep, about his way through the Code A qualifier. HyuN, on the other hand, he was in the 3rd round of Code A last season. He actually faced Genius, if I'm not mistaken, and was not able to take the games against the Protoss player. One of the reasons being that he forgot to research drop while he was going for a fast drop build on Entombed Valley, and therefore lost the game. He then found himself in the up and down matches in a group with Bomber and Mana. Both of those players that I just mentioned were able to advance, and HyuN, being the 3rd place player in the group, once again got kind of stuck in Code A. So this is another attempt of him to finally get into Code S. His win ratios are actually insane. I think his worst matchup is a matchup against HyuN currently with a 59% win ratio, which is huge. In all the other matchups, he has like 64, 65%. So a great player who finally wants to get into Code S, but first of all, here in the first round, he has to deal with another Zerg.
He does, and he did sneak a Zergling into the main base, but he did barely get a glimpse of that Baneling nest, which is not too important. Seeing the Baneling nest alone just makes it so that HyuN knows, okay, first of all, I'm going to make a spine caller on my naturalist. He does immediately start here. But he also knows, okay, I'm probably not going to be able to put any aggression on myself. Just need to get my own defensive Baneling nest. Neither of us need to attack each other. But if he had gone to the main base and saw no Baneling nest, for example, or some sort of super fast second gas, something strange and unusual, then he could have decided to alter his build as a result. But right now, both players being completely normal here. Zergling speed done for both of them. 10 more Lings coming out for HyuN, though, here.
HyuN is a player that really likes to be aggressive, and sometimes he just goes for these Ling aggressions with the speed Lings in the early stages of the game, which is of course really important when you want to apply pressure, but at the same time you have to be careful about your unit control, that you don't send those Zerglings into a Baneling. And here comes a small attack by HyuN's opponent, Sleep, trying to go in here, but the Baneling immediately being taken out by the Spine Crawler and the Queen, and HyuN with a nice defense here. And right now the Harvester count is fairly even, both of them roughly being at 35, between 30 and 35 depending on the amount of buildings that they build.
Yeah.
But HyuN decides to go for a fast attack, where Sleep is taking a little bit later but is getting his third base up a lot earlier.
Yeah, and he's also getting his faster +1. But the thing is, his third base is likely going to have to be cancelled because HyuN knows he has a Zergling advantage and he's going to use it. He's actually running in. Right now, you guys can't see it to the third base with Lings and Banelings, so he's had those defensive Banelings left over, and he's actually just killing this hatchery right now. Sleep does cancel it, and you guys just barely got a glimpse of it there at the end.
Yep.
And even a Ling, that was really close. That Baneling almost killing all those Lings there.
Really well traded here as well. So right now, HyuN doing a good job at just delaying this third, because Sleep's idea is, of course, just dumping those initial 100 gas that he had before his tag into the +1 attack upgrade. Oh, picking off a queen here. Really well done by HyuN.
That's so huge. If he can pick off those queens, he limits his opponent's production so much. And he's even going to get back into the main base as well and see the lair timing.
Exactly. He sees the lair, he knows what's going on, and still trying to harass a little bit. But coming back to my original point, the idea of Sleep here was to get the third base a little bit earlier, use the gas not for the tech, but instead using the +1 attack upgrade to get ahead in the upgrades with the roaches, which will of course also delay his infestors a little bit. On the other hand, we have HyuN just now taking his third base, and he already has the completed lair tech and can now go for the infestation pit. While the Zerglings are still posing a problem for Sleep, quite a lot of action going on at the natural.
And you know, HyuN, he made a choice. He had those 3 Lings on the main, and he actually selected them and looked at them for a second. Then he was like, no, I'm not going to make these in the Banelings, that's too risky. But instead he went and picked 2 more drones off the natural. That's guaranteed damage rather than trying to get those slower Banelings, hoping to do a massive amount of damage. And you know, he took the safer choice. He's really, I mean, just doing all these little things to try to push himself ahead.
Third base now once again being attacked. Yeah, now we have it on camera as well by HyuN trying to trade Banelings here, and the third base might have to be cancelled.
Yeah.
No, the Ling's coming, but he doesn't really have enough with all those Banelings being around. He can't actually try to kill this.
I love how he's using the Banelings as well. He's making sure that when the Banelings do detonate, they actually hit the hatchery, and he barely saves that. 488 hit points left, but the rest of the Lings are still here. If he can take out that one Baneling, he may actually be able to get this hatch.
Oh wow, nice. He takes the Baneling down. Really well played by HyuN so far. And look at this micro. A great unit control by HyuN, and he might be able to kill the hatch, and even if he doesn't, it's so low on hit points already. Takes the drone down and focuses the hatch again. The roaches come in. He might just be able to save it.
Yeah, he just barely saves 105 hit points left there. But the damage has been done, as you said, and his hatchery was a little bit slower than Sleep's, but because he was able to stop the mining there and even kill some drones, it doesn't really matter that he had the hatchery up earlier because he couldn't use it.
And now HyuN did not go for the infestation pit after he finished his lair take. No, he saw an opening here, taking down his opponent's third base, applying pressure, being the one on the initiative. That's why he built a lot of roaches, skipped the infestants for now, has the +2 attack timing, and now this huge amount of roaches is actually just moving in, taking down the roaches of Sleep, the spine crawler, and of course the queen as well. This hatch is doomed, and Sleep in a really peculiar situation now, not only losing roaches and drones, but he won't be able to save this hatch. This is for sure.
I just love that HyuN actually likes to engage the roaches rather than going for the hatchery because there's no drones mining there. Anyways, he's going to get it on his way out.
Yeah.
So he traded really well with his roaches, still gets the hatchery on his retreat, and now Sleep has a surplus of roaches, but with the defender's advantage that HyuN has, he's not really going to be able to use those too much.
Yeah, this was really well done by HyuN. I had exactly the same thought. He didn't focus it down immediately and then would have to face the Broodlings. No, he chased down the drones, chased down another couple of roaches, and then he turned around on his way back, killed the hatch. And right now he's just focusing on his roach count. He has 27 over 18. He also has the better drone count. At the same time though, we have Sleep just taking it up a little bit, going into the Hydralisks now as well, whereas HyuN decides to get the infestation bit, so a little bit of a difference in style.
Yeah, and something to notice, HyuN has not yet mined from his third base at all, so he's had that hatchery up, and that doesn't mean that his hatchery has been useless to him. He's gotten a lot of extra production out of it, and he doesn't have to use it. If he's using that larva production to stop his opponent from having a third, then they're kind of on even bases in a sense. Now he's trying to push these roaches off the watchtower. He's actually going to trade really well in the middle of the map right now. Neither player having +2 just yet.
Sleep is backing off here. He's a little bit later with his +2 attack time, but on the other hand, we have him now with the Hydralisk, and he has the first few Hydras on the map. HyuN, on the other hand, he now goes for the Pathogen Glance upgrade. We have him at the same time droning up, trying to saturate this third base, and this will give him a huge boost in economy. He will have such a great economy, whereas Sleep now has to think about what exactly he's going to do. Will he use those Hydralisks in order to attack straight away? It certainly looks like it right now, but if he's not fast enough, if he waits for too long, then the Infestors will be a main part of HyuN's army, and the TSL player won't have to rely on roaches alone anymore.
Yeah, that's so right. And a lot of the time when you go for Hydralisk, you want to have the Infestors on your side so that you can utilize that extra Hydralisk range that you get over the roaches, so the roaches are kind of stuck, not able to do damage while the Hydras do damage from behind. But he's basically just pushing out here, banking on these Hydralisks so much. If this does not do a lot of damage, he's going to find himself really, really behind, because it's so easy to tech into Hydras. So much easier so than it is to get the Infestation Pit tech up.
HyuN not neglecting his upgrades at all. He's going straight for the +1 armor upgrade here as well. We have the first few Infestors building. HyuN is a little bit supply blocked here, and as Wolf already mentioned, Sleep now with an opportunity, but he lacks the Infestors, and he knows it. He just saturated his third base, or tried to. 70 Harvesters to 54 in favor of HyuN, and here comes Sleep, both on the same supply, which already shows that Sleep has an advantage in army supply right now.
Yeah, he really does, and he's trying to find an opening. He's already killed the rocks and coming to the natural. It's all about the concave here, and actually he's going to get it. He actually comes right into the natural, and now HyuN has to funnel in a little bit, but he's got those Infestors, and the Fungals are good.
The Fungals are really decent, and at the same time, the Hydralisk for Sleep a little bit out of position. Does he have too many units though? This is one of the risks that HyuN has right now, and he's losing supply fast. The army supply still with 20 as an advantage for Sleep. HyuN has to pull his drones as well.
Yeah, and actually, I think Sleep may have enough of the rest of these roaches coming in. It's going to be close. He had to pull drones. A bunch of roaches popping out right now for HyuN, though. And it looks like this may be enough to push back Sleep just barely, and it is.
Yeah, he has the defender's advantage. His units are at the front a lot faster, but now suddenly HyuN finds himself behind in Harvesters. He has only 47 against 54 at this point in time. He's rebuilding a few, but this also shows that HyuN was a little bit too greedy with the drones that he produced after he was able to take down Sleep third base for the second time. He had too many Harvesters, not enough army to stop Sleep's push, but he was at least able to make sure that he didn't die to it, and he's still in a good position economy-wise, but Sleep was able to even out things a lot more and is even a little bit ahead right now.
Yeah,
and still doesn't have Infestors.
Exactly, and that was the big issue here, is the Infestors were able to really add that extra DPS that Sleep had in Hydralisk, but now he still doesn't have that tech, and that tech is so much more difficult to get out than Hydralisk tech. The Hydralisk den doesn't cost that much. You don't have to research Pathogen Glands type upgrade, and Hydralisk itself, 1x1, is not as expensive as an Infestor, and it's not as useful either.
Yeah, with the Hydralisk, of course, you always want to have the range upgrade, but you can already use them before you have it, whereas, of course, the Infestors, as Wolf already pointed out, really depend on this Pathogen Glance upgrade to get the initial fungal. And right now, HyuN finds himself behind in supply. He has a little bit of a bank here. He needs more units, though. Really important for him are those Infestors. He has 7 on the map as we speak, and this will enable him to just pin down Sleep in a crucial situation if he can get the read on his opponent. But with the Hydralisks on the map, also Sleep able to kill all these Overlords and therefore deny vision.
Exactly, and that's so important because now he's a little bit out of position here. The Fungals are really good, though. His Infestors are a little bit awkwardly placed, but they do get their second wave of Fungals, and HyuN still has the better upgrades right now. The Carapace upgrade is not done for Sleep yet.
Sleep with a huge supply lead right now is going in once again, and HyuN pulls all his drones. The TSL sure is in trouble, but Sleep is overwhelmed by the forces of our TSL Zerg, driven back once again, but so many losses for HyuN. He's once again down in Harvesters, and can he really hold the second wave?
Well, looks like he will for now, at least. One drone in the fight, and the Queen even adding some extra DPS here. Looks like HyuN is actually going to stabilize, and still, I mean, I think Sleep realizes it's a little bit too late for him to try to tech to Infestors. He needs to do some sort of damage first, because if he just tries to sit back and tech, he's already behind. HyuN will continue to build his Infestor count, but HyuN actually lost all of his Infestors in that fight.
He lost every single one of them. And saving Infestors, not only in Terran versus Zerg, but also in the ZVZ, is so important for the Zerg player. And this is what he did not really do. So right now, HyuN is down in Harvesters, he is down in tech units, he just does not have those Infestors that he really depends on.
Yeah, and he had to just transfer all of his drones to his main base after those losses. He's just a third of his opponent's economy right now. HyuN trying to do some little run bys, it looks like, with some roaches actually running into the third base, trying to tax Sleep's multitasking a little bit. And Sleep is actually out of position, but he will come in very quickly here. It looks like he's going to try to get the queen, and he will. That's a pretty small victory, but one that is significant enough to trade these roaches.
Yeah, exactly. But, well, if you think about what happened, it all comes down to this one decision where HyuN said, okay, I have enough to actually build 10, 12 additional drones, and then we'll still be able to defend. And he wasn't. Sleep picked the timing where HyuN was weak, where he, with the Roach and Hydra composition, had the better chance of winning the fight. And this was when the tables actually turned. When HyuN was the one who suddenly had to be defensive, he had to pull his drones, he lost a lot of his harvesters, and Sleep got the upper hand.
Yeah, and now, you know, HyuN is still rebuilding his infestation, he's spending basically all of his resources on that. And the infestation pit, if I'm not mistaken, Sleep has still not made that. And it's like he knows that he's playing a different style here. He's trying to be the big bully with the actual attacking units. He doesn't want to worry about casters. There's a lot of liability in that when the game is so close like this, so he just wants to continue to be the aggressor. But he will eventually, if HyuN gets enough infestors out, have to make that switch, because you cannot fight against infestors when the fungals are just so good if you're in the right position with your infestors when the attack comes.
HyuN really needs to win with those infestors right now, because at this point in time, Sleep controls the map, and he uses this to get another base, to get himself a fourth, so that he can really get ahead of his opponent in economy.
He needs a fight. HyuN needs to take a fight really badly so that he can move out and take that so important fourth, because even though his tech is arguably better, his opponent's army is just so strong, and he's got that position, you know, that map control that you were mentioning, and it's impossible for HyuN to take another base right now, and he's starting to starve.
But you can see that Sleep is really patient. He does not attack. He knows exactly that without a fourth base for HyuN, with he himself getting another base, is an advantage, and that's why he also builds the infestation pit that we see on the production tab right now.
He's got a great defensive position at the bottom of the ramp, has an overlord to the left side just in case HyuN decides to try to break out that location. So he's got this nice soft contain on HyuN, and HyuN is kind of in this awkward position where he has to win that fight, he has to break out somehow, and if he does it cost inefficiently, then Sleep's still going to have the fourth base, and he's going to have infestors out. So HyuN is in dire straits right now. He really needs to figure out an angle of attack here.
And Sleep is building up a bank. He's building up a huge bank, and he also has the lava count. He has 25 in total. He gets pathogen glands right now. Time is working in Sleep's favor, and he knows it. HyuN knows it as well, of course, but he is basically stuck in a position where he has to make a choice. Either he attacks down the ramp into a concave, or he tries to wait for his opponent to approach and win a huge fight with a better positioning. But right now, HyuN is really in trouble. He's trying to add the Hydra attack, he's getting additional infestors, but now we have 8 infestors building for Sleep as well.
HyuN only able to see on the map with changelings right now, and he's got 2 overlords positioned over gaps on the map as well. But he doesn't really have too much other vision besides that. And actually, Sleep is going to pull back here for the first time. He's actually just going to feel comfortable, and HyuN sees this. He's going to take his chance. He really needs to take a fight. The infestor count right now for him is at 12, and he's got 5 more on the way, so he's going to have 17 infestors. Not all of them are going to be with his main army if he decides to fight right now, but he's got this infestor lead. He needs to take this fight. He needs to win just one big battle so he can start to kill the economy of his opponent.
The army supply is dead even, ladies and gentlemen. 148 for both of them. This is the most important fight for HyuN right now, the next one that is going to happen, because Sleep has a much better bank.
Yeah,
so
he's got literally double the bank.
Exactly, he can rebuild everything. Whereas HyuN has to make this work, he has to make this count. If he can now take down Sleep's army, maybe just get a good position, get the better position, make sure that he is the one who really wins the fight by a huge margin. Then he can force his way back into the game. And now those infestors, those 5 that he tries to tunnel to the right side of the map, they might actually be in a position to do a lot of damage to Sleep's economy.
Yeah, it just depends on if he sees them or not. So far, he does not see them, and he's actually going to send them to the third base. He's going to drop so many infestorants, all of them with full energy.
Yeah, no oversleep.
And oh, this actually is dead. There's nothing to be doing fun about this. He's even going to lose a ton of his drones, if not all of them.
Yeah, the drones, they are just dying and dead, and now this hatch, of course, does not stand a chance, whereas the infestors move on to the natural expansion right now. In the middle of the map, nice
And HyuN has actually controlled this area now, so he can take this fourth, but he's going to need really good fungals. Sleep is not going to let him have this easily.
Great fungal so far, and now we have the first infested Terrans being used as well. HyuN playing well, and 36 harvesters, 36 roaches have been replaced by Sleep, but HyuN taking a decent position here. In the end, though, it looks like Sleep will just have too much overall, or does he? The roaches are nearly dead and dying, but the infestors for Sleep, they move back, whereas at the same time, HyuN once again used the infestors at the natural base of his opponent.
Yeah, he's hiding them now at the natural. He killed a ton of drones there, and he's also at the fourth base. He's going to have to cancel his own fourth, though, because the attack is on, and actually Sleep is down now to 14 drones only in total.
Exactly.
That just goes to show that how much army supply he has right now.
Exactly, he has the army supply, and the big question is, can HyuN stop him? Sleep knows that he has no economy whatsoever. One base mining, only 14 drones left, and there's another infestor attack. Once again, the infested Terrans, and they take down drone after drone.
And Sleep turns around, too. He turns around. This is exactly what HyuN wants, because now HyuN has more time to use that economy that he has. It's not a great economy. He's got just basically one saturated base, but it's better than nothing, and that's going to allow him to remax.
Exactly. He has the better income by far right now, and he still has 10 infestors. He has 37 to 44 roaches, and he can just rebuild his roach count. This is exactly what he does right now. HyuN, look at this income. Look at this income. It's incredible. HyuN with a comeback here. Those 5 infestors that he tunneled towards the third, then to the natural, then to the fourth, they really made all the difference in this game. He is about to start, well, he already achieved an epic comeback in this game.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, he was basically locked in a cage, and he broke out. And when Sleep decided to turn around and give him that middle of the map, that's when he was able to get that defensive position at the fourth. Yeah, he had to lose the fourth, but that attack that Sleep felt forced to make actually allowed HyuN to do that harassment. The defenses were not set up at home. HyuN took a risk sending those infestors around the map, but it really, really paid off. He even still has 2 infestors actually going around like sharks, and he could kill even more drones. There's barely any left to kill, but he could kill more and totally shut down the economy. He drops 2 infested Terrans.
Both of them with a good game here. Minor mistakes for both players, and look at those fungals. Incredible. Really using this choke point to his advantage, and now HyuN just has simply too much. Look at this army. He's already 20 supply ahead in army supply, and he has such a great concave against his opponent.
And he's going to hold it. He's killed more drones, by the way, back at the fourth base. There's not a single drone left. And Sleep is actually going to have to GG here. He's out of steam. He has no bank left. He loses his entire army. GG.
Well played by HyuN. Sleep with a great game in the middle of the match, but then HyuN takes the opportunity, starts a comeback, and takes map number 1.
Just really great play by HyuN, taking all the risks necessary there in the end. And Sleep actually played really well as well. I like that he was so patient to tech to his infestors, because he was like, well, if I do this, he figures out what's going on. I am very vulnerable. And so he decided to continue to be the aggressor. At the end of the day, him giving up his position in the middle of the map, though, was the only way that HyuN could do what he did. And HyuN was able to get away with it. Takes game number 1.
Exactly. Both players with one small mistake in this game. HyuN, of course, when he overdroned, when Sleep saw his chance to attack and took it. But on the other hand, we had him making up for it when he discovered a weakness in Sleep's strategy and used it to his advantage. So a really nice back and forth game, the opening match today. And map number 2 already being hosted, so we are currently waiting for the next map being started, and it's actually going to be Abyssal City.
Yeah, Abyssal City, one of our newer maps. It's the underwater map. It's a pretty cool map. I love the animations that come out from it. You know, when something dies or blows up and it just floats up to the surface.
I'm actually wondering a little bit how, in a theory, Mutalisk would be able to survive in an underwater map.
I wonder how Mutalisk can fly in space. I just don't know, man.
They just can.
I guess so. Countdown's finished up here, and map's gonna load. Game number 2 between HyuN and Sleep. HyuN with just one more win will knock the teamless Sleep out of the GSL.
And back into Code B.